Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I should thank Quorum for inviting me, or rather us, here for a conversation on Delhi elections and what it actually means for people who live in Delhi. Briefly, though she has introduced Ashutosh, let me do so also. He has been a journalist throughout, and in between, he joined the Aam Aadmi Party in January 2014. He contested Lok Sabha elections from the Chandni Chowk constituency, where he came second to the winner, Dr. Harshvardhan. He got more votes than Kapil Sibal. And then he left Aam Aadmi Party and he made it a point to mention the date, which is August 15, 2018. Yes, is what he told me. And now he's back to being a journalist. He is the editor and co-founder of, editorial director and co-founder of SatyaHindi. And yeah, so now let's dive into our conversation. So in January, you had written that BJP will probably be able to win Delhi only if they crack Code Kejriwal. Do you think BJP has cracked Code Kejriwal? But also, you should explain what you meant by Code Kejriwal.
Thank you. After coming here now, I am very convinced that why Aam Aadmi Party has lost so badly. Because people have lost faith in him. So the middle class and the affluent class, which had really trooped for him in 2013, 2015 and 14, because then they got 67 seats out of 70, which is unimaginable for a political party formed just 2 years back. And getting 67 seats out of 70 when Mr. Narendra Modi was at the pinnacle of his popularity. It's only because middle class and the affluent class was with him.
The first time they didn't.
So I could say today that I could crack the code Kejriwal why he lost. So yeah, I know. See, this has been happening for a pretty long time. When I left in 2018, 15th August, even I could see that there was a disappointment setting in a large section of the people, but still people had hope. Over a period of time, the first 2015 to 2020, I think it's a government which has done really well for the Delhi, and people still had hopes. But after 2020 and 2025, I think something has gone wrong. Something has gone wrong with the party, with the leadership, and you can say that. So I'm very fond of saying this, that the problem with the Aam Aadmi Party was that they wanted to change politics, but it's politics which changed them. The politics appropriated them rather in a different way.
You had written that,
Yeah.
yes.
Politics appropriated them because their whole the political capital was basically a moral capital. That these are the people who are not political. These are the people who are not intended to do politics. These are the people who are willing to change politics. And people had high hopes. I still remember when I was there in the party, when we used to go to the airports and other places, the elderly people used to hold our hands and say, don't worry, you are the people who can do something. Otherwise, we have lost hope with the entire political class. So something has gone wrong with there, but still the quote Kejriwal, which I was emphasizing on, because what I had my experience with him is that he has a infinite hunger for success. I think probably that was the fatal flaw in his personality, because when you have so much ambition, so much hunger to succeed, then probably you have a tendency to
Do anything
to get over there. And I was a little skeptical that whether the BJP, the local leadership, the BJP has that kind of understanding about him, because they're still repeating the old rhetorics. कि वो तो अपने बेटे की कसम खाया हुआ है, खाता है, वो तो तमाम चीजें जो all kinds of things, झूठा है, Naxalites है, urban Naxals are all kinds of things. And I was a little skeptical because these are the things did not work in 2013, never worked in 2015. Again, it didn't work in 2020. You are repeating the same narrative, same words, whether they really cracked the code. But I think something changed in the third week of January. Because till the third week of January, Aam Aadmi Party was extremely confident. But when I was talking to them, they were very confident. And they used to say that we can get if not 60 seats, so at least we'll get 45, 50 seats. That confidence there,
So
confident there.
you're saying between November, when they had an internal survey where they had pegged it, they would get between only 25 to 35. Between that and January, things had changed?
See, we have to understand one thing. When Arvind Kejriwal came out of the jail, then I probably that was the time when he was very nervous, extremely nervous, because surveyors have told him that maybe Aam Aadmi Party is heading for disaster and something extraordinary needs to be done. And he uh, he did three things. One, he resigned as a chief minister, and then he vacated that chief minister's house, which is called Shishmal popularly these days. And third thing, he started going to the people. So the two incidents, the somebody who has said that मैं तो जेल से सरकार चलाऊंगा, the same person coming out of the jail and resigning and trying to gain the moral aura. Then look, I'm not here to stick to the power. I'm not here for the chair. I'm not here for other things. That was something which really is an indication that he was very nervous, and he knew that if he continues as the chief minister, or he's living in the same bungalow, then probably he's heading for trouble. So these are the two things. Then this one, the mass contact programs. Then it started gaining because, and then something happened in the last week, in the third week of January. So by third week of January, they realized that it claimed a lot of ground, and whatever they have lost in terms of lack of organization, the lack of volunteers, that they gained something. So extremely confident. But I don't know what happened in the third week of January. Probably the statement he made about Haryana, that वो यमुना के पानी में तो जहर मिला दिया है और दिल्ली के लोगों को मारेंगे, genocide something, people didn't like that. Probably it could be that reason, or probably Mr. Prime Minister saying that all the welfare scheme which has been started by the Aam Aadmi Party and the Kejriwal will continue with that. So the people, if had any skepticism that the BJP is coming to power and they'll discontinue all that, so probably they got very confident that no, even if the BJP is coming, we still keep getting the free electricity and the water at half the price.
Do you think there is a possibility of Aam Aadmi Party recovering, or do you think they'll remain this one-hit wonder kind of thing?
Never write an obituary of a politician. Because see, I have a different theory on that. I reply at two different levels. One, we have to understand that why Aam Aadmi Party became such a phenomenally successful party. Kejriwal became such a phenomenal leader. In less than 10 years' time, he not only wins Delhi once and twice, he also forms a government in Punjab, and with again the phenomenal numbers with 92 MLAs, and almost everybody from Prakash Singh Badal to Captain Amrinder Singh, all the big guns of the Punjab, they lost elections. So what was that? That with the BJP could not crack code in Punjab. BJP has been contesting elections for God knows how many years, but they're still a fringe player, and they were a fringe player. But Aam Aadmi Party from nowhere, it got 92 seats, and all those who had almost very little experience in politics are contesting elections. It's only because they had a moral capital, that the people believed that they are good people, they are not like politicians, and they can do something good for the country, and they are a hope. So when that hope was there, it's because people thought that he's a radical revolutionary, he's an idealist, he's a messiah kind of a thing. I think in this 2024 elections, that image is gone. Permanently that image has gone. So I don't see him coming back as a messiah. No. That Arvind Kejriwal is gone. What I could visualize is, that I'm not ruling that out, is the Arvind Kejriwal as a politician can always come back. Because if Chandrababu Naidu can come back after a decade, when he was humiliated, he cried in the assembly. So never write an obituary of any politician, because you never know when the people have, somebody has committed so wrong that the people are left with no other alternative than to go back to the old one. So Arvind Kejriwal as a politician can always come back, but Arvind Kejriwal as a messiah is not coming back.
Because after the elections, we have not seen him. He's not on our screens. He doesn't hold a constitutional post anymore. But you think he will come back?
Sorry?
You think he will?
He can come back. See, if the BJP
But in
can
what
win
form
elections
do
in
you
Delhi
see?
after 27 years, so you don't rule it out. If Naveen Patnaik can lose elections, if Mamta Banerjee can lose her own assembly constituency, then anything can happen in politics. What I'm saying is that Arvind Kejriwal as a radical revolutionary, as an idealist, as a messiah, is not going to come back. Once you lose the moral capital, it's next to impossible to regain it. But as a politician, he can always come back because people still believe him that he's a shade better than the rest. It's not that he's compared like all those politicians. Still people have high hopes with him. Still people think that yes, he's not the same Arvind Kejriwal, but he is he maybe is become like them, but still shade better than the rest. And that is why he's holding with the 44% vote share. Don't forget it.
Yes.
Drop of 10% vote share, but between him and the BJP, the gap is only 1.9% vote share.
Yes.
So despite BJP doing so well, still Aam Aadmi Party is holding fort in Delhi.
And you don't think the AAP government in Punjab will fall?
As long as Mr. Modi is here and the Shah is there, anything can happen in Indian politics.
And you don't think it is a Congress who will come back
see, in
then?
politics, don't rule out these things. If the Shiv Sena can break into two, the NCP with Sharad Pawar can break into two, then anything can happen. Politics, anything happen. You never know what kind of money is used to lure them, what kind of agencies are used to tell them either you are with us or you go to the jail. So but at the moment, they are nervous, they are vulnerable, not only in Delhi but also in Punjab.
Okay. So when Kejriwal came to power, there was this resurgent middle class, and he kind of spoke the language that they spoke, like transparency, anti-corruption, but that no longer seems to hold any resonance. So do you think that kind of politics actually will hold good or will come back? The anti-corruption plank, the clean politics. Is there any hope for that kind of politics?
You can't rule out, we are not astrologers that we can dive down into the future and tell that this kind of politics will not come back. You never know. You never know. But yes, what the what damage which Aam Aadmi Party has done and Arvind Kejriwal personally has done is any hope that somebody can come and clean up the system. Because people have tremendous faith in him, have trusted him, that this man is not like others. He can change the system. And don't forget it, before him, whether you, I don't know whether it is right or wrong, but people have so much faith in Gandhi. He was a politician. People have so much faith in JP. He was a politician. This Anna movement was not led by any politician. This was led by activists, social activists, who had no connect with politics. Who didn't.
There were BJP people on this.
Sorry?
There were BJP people in the organizing committee. There was
No.
the Jaswant Singh was there, no?
No.
Jaswant Singh, Arun Jaitley. They were all there in
No.
meetings.
I think no.
Photos have come of them in the
Photos
meetings.
might have come, but because I wrote a book on Anna movement.
Yes.
So I can tell you with my source of information and confidence that none of the politicians were involved into the coordination committee of that Anna movement. It was, if Anna Hazare was the face of the movement and Kejriwal was the architect of the movement, he was the man behind that movement. And I had not seen that. I know that a lot of theories have been floated around that Arvind Kejriwal had been an RSS man. He was floated by the RSS. RSS was the backbone behind the movement. He was controlling the movement. What I'm not ruling out is that when there is a mass movement, all the people from all states of the society, they join. Left, right, center, and everyone is there. But those were at the forefront of the leadership. None of the RSS guys were there. None of the left or the liberals were there. None from the Congress or the others were there. So I'm completely ruling that out. And in my opinion, it was a movement which was started by people who had no experience in politics And that's why it was amazing to see. And it was a rejection of the traditional politics in this. And don't forget it, that 2011 was the time in the world over, there was a mass upset in the Middle East, New York, Washington, France, Australia, everywhere.
Europe also.
Europe, everywhere. So there was something was happening at that point of time globally. Like right now, if you see anywhere, the right
is resurging.
is resurging. So something is happening. This.
Now that you've finished a bit about AAP, what do you think BJP in power means for people in Delhi? Do you think it will change the kind of politics it was AAP was doing? Will it mean better governance? Will it mean better services, or it'll be more of the same?
I think it's more of the same. I don't have much hope that the things will drastically change. What can change? The change which has been initiated by BJP since 2014, that is Hindutva.
Hindutva, yes.
So again, you see those murmurs that we need to change this name to that name. All the things are happening. But I'm a little bit skeptical about any drastic change in Delhi for two reasons. One, I don't see that the quality of leadership in local BJP team. No disrespect to anybody, no disrespect to the chief minister, but I don't see that the kind of leadership and the quality of leadership which Sheila Dikshit had. Now, when she's gone, and when the Delhi has rejected Sheila Dikshit in 2013, now everybody realizes that she had done something great for the Delhi. It is she who changed the landscape of Delhi. Yes. Completely. If I could call her the mother of the modern Delhi in that sense. So she had that understanding, that vision, that how the Delhi should be. Kejriwal had those visions. And he was again a revolutionary in that sense. But the present leadership, which is holding the fort in Delhi, which is in the government, I don't see that kind of a mettle, that kind of brilliance there. But what if, unless they are guided and helped by the central leadership? So Hindutva can be one subject which in the coming days will be discussed.
But during the election, BJP kind of avoided talking about Hindutva, though Yogi Adityanath had come and tried to. That was the only slip up. So do you think that was deliberate, so that is not the plank then?
I think they realized that it's not working. And I think they learned lesson from the 2024 parliament elections, because they tried to do it. It didn't work. Nationally, it didn't work.
2020, where they went on this.
In Maharashtra, it did work, but in Jharkhand, it did not work. Even in Maharashtra, their focus mainly was on the social welfare.
Social welfare, yes.
Similarly, in Haryana, there was a tinge of Hindutva, but not that much. So I think they have realized that
it was mostly caste politics there.
Yeah. So they have realized that Hindutva can go only this far, not beyond this. And especially Delhi, if you remember, in 2015, they played the same card. Yes. In 2020, again, they played the same card. So they learned their lessons that we played this card, but people rejected us. So this time, there was in a way, you can say that play that card under the carpet, yes, not over the carpet.
Like BJP this time has promised 2,500 for women. They said that they would implement the Ayushman Bharat scheme, then cleaning of Yamuna. Do you think all of that will go smoothly? The free power, free electricity, like for 200 units, all of that you think BJP will be able to maintain? Because Rekha Gupta the other day, she said that there is no money in the coffers because Aam Aadmi Party has left it empty. So
see, every government in this country will struggle to provide that kind of money to everyone. Even the Maharashtra government is struggling, the Jharkhand government is struggling, the Haryana government is struggling. The Maharashtra government, in fact, is majorly struggling because there's a debt of almost more than 7 lakh crores. So if you add this more than 40,000 crores again, then the whole state government will go bankrupt. And Delhi, fortunately, the budget is still not in debt, not in that sense. Yeah. So, but they will have a tough time. And I think there will be rethinking in the political class that whether these kind of doles which they are offering to people, whether this will work or not.
But we are a country of mostly poor people. So then social welfareism has to be there. Don't you think so? I
No,
mean, we are going off topic,
we
but
have to make a distinction very clearly. We have to make a distinction. Why are you offering these things just before the election, just before a week before the polling? Because you want to bribe voters. See, let's not get confused with the welfare state. Welfare state is something different. Like uh, you provide free education, you provide free health services.
yes.
Nobody is going to object it. But why are you providing free electricity? Why are you providing free water? So if anybody who's availing things free, obviously it's like it's kind of a bribe. So you are basically saying that I am paying you 2,500 every month, so you please vote for us. That is not welfareism. Welfareism means once you win, like right now, BJP government has come into the power. They should roll out the welfare schemes. That
They
these are the
should.
5 things which I am going to do because these are the areas where the government need to invest. They are not doing that. They are just doing it just before the election. Like Maharashtra elections, the classic case, election commission did not announce elections simultaneously with Haryana because
The
I don't want to get into that, but the elections, the polling happened after 3 installments had
So-
gone into the accounts of
Women, yeah, Ladli
women
Bahan
voters.
scheme.
So basically, you bribed them. So is how then the bribery is different and the social welfare scheme is different.
It would be different because those are the people who actually need the money. So that is why they are being given. Yes, it's true, they should be given anyways much before the elections. That is true. But to call it a bribe is a bit like it's not.
It's a harsh reality, but I think sometimes we have to say this. See, इस देश में तो पिछले कितने सालों से गरीबी हटाओ की बात हो रही. गरीबी नहीं हट रहे, बाकी सब चीज हट रही इस देश के अंदर. So
The rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer. So
the wages, the income has improved. The quality of life has also improved.
of a certain class.
But not this thing. If you start giving them free, this is not going to work. This has never worked anywhere. This will not work here also. You are basically आप लोगों को lazy बना रहे हैं. You are basically लोगों को आप कह रहे हैं कि तुम्हें कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. 2500 तो हम आपकी बीवी को दे रहे हैं और फिर फ्री में आपको बिजली मिल रही है, आधे दाम में पानी मिल रहा है. अब आपको क्या जरूरत है? 5,000 रुपए आपके बच गए तो घर बैठे आराम करो ना. क्या what is the and then आपको 5 किलो अनाज मिल रहा है. So why you need to work?
This would sort of just ease their lives only.
I don't agree with that. It's not easing their life. You create structures, you create systems and provide them opportunities, equal opportunity. Let them compete. You know why socialist system did not work? World over. Because there was no competition. Unless you provoke people, unless you inspire people, that you have to work hard to get these things.
But
The capitalism has worked because
That's
it is
because you're
led
kind
by
of
greed.
saying-
It is led by greed of ambition. It led by people started competing with each other. In Soviet system, nothing worked because everybody knew whether you work or you don't work. At the end of the day, you will get some amount of money. So if you are assured of certain amount of money at the end of the month, why you will work? But if you know that if I will not work for the whole month, I will not get this kind of money, then you will start working. And once you start working, you will start competing with your peers. When you start competing with the peers, it had a direct or indirect effect on the economic activity of the country.
Okay, we'll come back to this because there is no level playing field in this country for that to work, but we'll come back. We have to. So now that BJP is here, do you think Congress will gain the ground that Aam Aadmi Party has lost, or do you think that is not a possibility, seeing the shape of Congress in Delhi at least?
Aam Aadmi Party has to be extremely careful. That much because the ground is slightly slippery. Though they got almost 43.56% vote share, but ground is slippery. And why the ground is slippery? Because 2 reasons. One, like BJP, Aam Aadmi Party doesn't have that kind of a robust organization. And the whole party is around one person. So that means there is something. The health of the party is not very good, and they don't have the institutional memory. Like Congress has gone back. Congress has a history of almost more than 100 years. The BJP has a history of, if you add Jansang period, almost 70 years, more than 70 years. So they have a history, they have an institutional memory. They can always go back in past and find some solutions. And they have a proper structures. Though the Congress party is not organizationally very strong, but they have structures. Aam Aadmi Party just 10 years old, and just one man is the party. So that means the health of the organization is not good. So if something happens there, God forbid should not happen, then where the Aam Aadmi Party will go? Where is the alternate leadership? Where are the structures? Everybody is following only the diktats. So I keep telling them Aam Aadmi Party has reduced itself from a bunch of robots. The software is burned by somebody else and everybody is reacting to that. BJP is not like that. The Congress is not like that. Other political parties are not like that. They also have a personality cult. They also have a centralizing features. But they survive for so long because their structures are there. Aam Aadmi Party does not have those kind of structures, especially when you are just a 10 years old party.
Did they not want to create that in the 10 years that they were in power? Or was it because Arvind Kejriwal was insecure
I think
enough?
he is anti-organization. I think it's a tough thing to say, but that's a reality.
Why is he anti-organization? Because then that would not give him the power that he wants?
It's a mindset. Like BJP by nature is an organization. Aam Aadmi Party by nature is a sentiment. So BJP, and that's why, and don't forget, it's not only BJP. There's almost, God knows how many layers of organization is there. RS is there, Vishnu Hindu Parishad is there, Akhil Bharati Vidyarthi Parishad is there, Bajrang Dal is there, and then Banwasi Kalyan Ashram, and almost 30-40 organizations.
Some we don't even know.
Some we don't even know. The failing of the Congress is that the Congress doesn't even have the Congress organization. If you compare Congress organization with the BJP organization, even then the BJP is far ahead. Aam Aadmi Party even doesn't have a semblance of organization which the Congress possesses. So it's a mindset. Somebody doesn't want to be constrained by the organizations. If he or she feels that I will be constrained, I will not be free to take decisions, because then somebody will stand up and say, you can't do this, you can't do that. And if you have to take a decision, then you have to go through the process. So it's a mindset basically. I think that's a mindset which will hurt Aam Aadmi Party in the long run.
Is that the way then they will revive? By forming an organization, forming grassroots?
I think that's it has become too late. It's too late now. That the work has to be done from the beginning itself.
And not just ad hoc volunteers who come and go. That won't work anymore.
If I ask you that who is the number 2 now in Aam Aadmi Party, probably nobody knows. You know in BJP who is the number 2. Mr. Amit Shah is the number 2, clear-cut number 2. When Atal Bihari Vajpayee was there, Lal Krishna Advani was everybody knew that L.K. Advani is the leader. And I'm only not saying in terms of faces, the kind of power they had. Advani had a power. If he could say no, then Atal Bihari Vajpayee used to think twice to take a decision. Today, Mr. Amit Shah says something that this can't be done. Mr. Modi will think twice to take a decision, though his decision will prevail. But like in today in Congress party, if Rahul Gandhi says something, it will have a resonance. Finally, his word will carry. But there is the Mallikarjun Kharge. There are others also, the local leadership. They can always say that this is. So he has to think about it. But similar thing is not there in the Aam Aadmi Party. If Arvind Kejriwal says something, it has to be carried.
And there are no checks and balances, you mean?
Obviously not.
Is that one of the reasons why you left?
No, that's not the reason. I've never spoken about it, and I will probably not speak about it. Maybe after some time when I think about it, then I can write about it. Although probably my book will be coming, so I'll have some kind of some hints there. I never talked about it, so and I'm after leaving Aam Aadmi Party, I didn't even criticize them like the people used to do after leaving party. So I avoid basically that.
Now that we're talking on about the opposition, do you think opposition parties are relevant anymore in this country? Is a strident opposition something the electorate even
I
values?
think it's a very dangerous question, because if in a democracy you start thinking that the opposition is whether relevant enough, that means
Do,
there's something seriously wrong in our democracy. See, in democracy, the opposition and the government both have the democracy cannot function without opposition.
does the electorate even value it? Earlier, people would talk about what the opposition would do when Congress was in power. BJP did this, they would say. But now, even when Aam Aadmi Party was in power in Delhi, when the BJP leadership would be constantly protesting in the assembly, Vijender Gupta, but no one would even talk about it. So, is a strident opposition something the electorate even values?
I don't think so. I think probably we are we have become prisoner of the propaganda. I think this is a new phenomenon in Indian politics, where the propaganda really blinds you. No other political party in the BJP or the maybe CPM had worked so beautifully and so brilliantly on propaganda, that at some point of time you also start believing what they want you to believe. So I'm not blaming BJP. I'm not blaming Narendra Modi. That's their politics. They always want that opposition should be weak in the country, or there should not be opposition in the party. That's every political party in the government wants that kind of opposition. But the issue is, when the citizens are enlightened citizenry of the country, they also start believing that opposition has become irrelevant, that opposition has no role, opposition is good for nothing. Rahul Gandhi is nothing, just a pappu. That's a dangerous sign. People forget that India is probably a democracy where uh, the dominance of one political party has always been there. Probably if you leave 1990 to 2014, that's a small time, when the coalition politics was there, when the opposition and the government both were equally powerful. When Congress regime was there, that used to be called as the Congress system. From 1947 to 77, there was hardly any opposition. BJP has been contesting elections since 1951. But if you add all the seats the BJP has won in the parliament election from 1952 to 1989, that number is only 80.
Yes.
Add all the seats which they have won. But that does not mean that the opposition was not working there. The opposition had a strong role to play. The Ram Manohar Lohia used to play a great role. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a great leader.
Sushma Swaraj.
But propaganda was not so much. Propaganda didn't blind people's mind that this country doesn't need an opposition. But BJP successfully has done that opposition is good for nothing. And I don't blame them for that. In the government, every political party has to discredit or ridicule your opponent. But if the citizens also start believing them, I think it's a dangerous sign. That's why I call, up to a certain extent, we are heading towards an authoritarian society.
Because we have been led to believe by BJP only they.
We started believing that.
Coming back to the Delhi elections, what do you think surprised you in the results, and what would you say were your key takeaways from the elections?
I think I wasn't surprised. My friend, my boss Rajdeep was really surprised. He wrote a book on that the election that surprised.
But
I think the writings.
But that was for 2024. The Delhi elections, I mean.
Delhi elections, it didn't surprise me, because there was a strong anti-incumbency. Because 10 years is a pretty long time in politics for the anti-incumbency to set in. And that's one reason, the primary reason that Mr. Modi could not get 272 seats, despite tall claims of more than 400 seats. Because the anti-incumbency was there. And it's very natural. It happens with any government. When you promise something, when you go to the elections, in 10 years' time, people expect you to deliver. It's not that you are running a perfect state. So people will get disheartened, people will get disillusioned. So I think that anti-incumbency which worked against Mr. Narendra Modi, the similar anti-incumbency worked against Arvind Kejriwal. But both BJP and at the center and Arvind Kejriwal, Aam Aadmi Party in the state, people were not so disillusioned that people wanted them to be thrown out, like that happened with the Congress in 2014, when the Congress suddenly got reduced from 202 to 48 seats or 44 seats. So that kind of disillusionment was not there, but people were unhappy. People were slightly disheartened. So I will not say that I was surprised by the result. Uh, I was expecting that Arvind Kejriwal might win.
Manish Sisodia?
Manish, I think, is expected that he might lose. But Arvind's losing election in the New Delhi constituency was really a surprise for me. I was really surprised. That means that the BJP could crack the code called Kejriwal, and that's worked well on the ground and could successfully defeat him.
Though Manish Sisodia contested from the constituency where BJP has never won. Everywhere else, BJP had at least could win, but his new constituency. So
I think he was struggling in Patparganj also.
Also,
That's,
yes.
see,
That's why he shifted.
Once you shift from one constituency to another constituency, people are smart enough to realize that you are running away from the battle. I think he should have stayed back in Patparganj. Whether win or lose, that's a different thing altogether. Anyway, he lost election.
And what would you say are the takeaways for everyone from that election?
The takeaway is very simple. Don't take your voters for granted. The same voter which could give you 67 seats can always come back and tell you that you did not deliver. Sorry, I'm not voting for you.
Do you think then Congress and Aam Aadmi Party, the India Alliance, should have had a tie-up in the capital?
I think they should have, because
Why?
this creates a very unique situation. It's a very confusing signal. It gives a very confusing signal to the voter that few months back you were together, you were fighting, and now you are at each other's throat. You call Aam Aadmi Party calling Rahul Gandhi as corrupt, and you are calling names to Arvind Kejriwal. Then what kind of signal you are giving to the people? The people think that are we fools? Either the reality was what you showed us 6 months back during the parliament election, or the realities today. So people could see through that you are playing with their sentiments.
But this kind of alliance has worked in Kerala because there the LDF and UDF, they are part of the India Alliance, but in the state they are against each other. So you're saying in Delhi that wouldn't work? That kind of politics?
Kerala, you know better because you come from Kerala. So, but
Even
I
so.
still think that in Delhi, it was people could see through. Kerala, I'm still not very sure because yes, you are right. But if you see carefully, CPM and Congress, they never fought election together. In Delhi, what Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress were doing, they fought election together. They had a tie-up. They fought like one entity. In Kerala, that never happened. It never happened. So within the state, people knew that here is a left front, here is a UDF, and both are fighting with each other. But at the national level, they might be part of a one tent. But here, what was confusing was that in parliament elections, Congress and Aam Aadmi Party, they fought like one entity. They were fighting against the BJP. Whereas in assembly elections, suddenly you are on the two different corners and you are at each other's throat and taking all kinds of abusing left, right, and center to each other. So people could see that.
Did that also backfire for Kejriwal, where he decided to call Congress leaders certain names? And did that also backfire? Because they didn't.
Partly yes.
Because he went on a negative campaign than what he usually runs.
Partly yes.
Should we now open it for questions?
Thank you for this insightful analysis. Good to hear from someone who's been there in the battlefield before. I'd like to jog back to history because my foray into getting onto the street started with IAC, and I was disillusioned. He has me disillusioned and still here as well. I've not given up hopes on this country and its people and its electorate. But my question again is goes back to something that has not been spoken much about, trying to understand RSS and its workings, and which that's plaguing this country today. How is it people like the seasoned activists and people who've seen politics closely could not spot the influence of RSS? You said clearly that none of the members of IAC or the core committee had no political influence. Agreed. But then, did you not spot, because now it's so in your face? People like Anna speak like they're RSS representatives. I mean, their views on women, for example, or even what Kiran Bedi did later. How is it that one could not spot it? And because the reason I ask is, in future, as politics and electoral politics gets tougher and tougher, we will see more such coups or such subversion happening in any movement in further. What is it that if say another AAP like movement happens in this country again, what is it that one should look out for to be careful of?
Thank you. See, I'm a very bitter critique of RSS, but I still strongly believe that RSS is an ideological force. Instead of ridiculing them or instead of talking down about them, the time has come when we have to try to understand them, try to engage with them. It's in Indian Constitution gives them equal opportunity to talk about their ideology, and the people of the country had given them the mandate, not once, not twice, but third time. So we have to try to understand what the RSS is, and we also have to understand that why RSS had come so far. An organization which was banned after Gandhi's death has really moved so far that once that organization was untouchable in the country. Nobody used to have an alliance with them. But today, every political forum except the Congress and others are rushing towards them to have some kind of alliance with them. So we have to understand this phenomenon called RSS. We have to try to understand the politics of Hindutva. Unless we try to engage with them, unless we try to understand them, it will be really difficult to fight them. I think what is happening is that the people in this country and the large section of intellectual in the country and the intelligentsia in the country, they are not trying to understand them. And in a way, they are also not democratic in this sense. We have to. Some other day, I was just talking to somebody else, and he said, "Ki if the selection of election commission is open to non-IS guys, then one day an RSS pracharak will become the election commissioner." I said, "You are worried about that? Mr. Narendra Modi is an RSS pracharak. The Prime Minister of the country is an RSS pracharak. You are not worried about it. But you are worried about it that the RSS pracharak can become election commissioner." What kind of hypocrisy is this? The President of the country, the Vice President of the country, the Prime Minister of the country, the entire cabinet owes their allegiance to the RSS. So either we don't understand them or we are not trying to avoid them. On the issue of Aam Aadmi Party, what I had said, and I had said very categorically, that amongst the leadership of Aam Aadmi Party, there was hardly anybody from the RSS. And this I can vouch for. But what I cannot discount is that any mass movement in the country, forget about Anna movement, any mass movement in the country, RSS is part of the society. So they have every right to take part in any movement. And they took part in that movement. They were part of the Anna movement. But they were not the one who were calling shots. They were not the one who were giving the leadership to the movement. I'm not discounting that in some dark corner, they would have tried to hijack the movement. But they could not do that. But yes, Anna movement provided the platform for the BJP and Narendra Modi to form government in 2014. So, Kiran Bedi is not known for the RSS background. Kiran Bedi was co-opted by the BJP. So when you're asking the question about Arun Jaitley and Jaswant Singh, no, they were never part of the part of that movement. In fact, the very first day on the dais itself, when Anna Hazare sat on the hunger strike at Jantar Mantar, I think the two of the senior RSS leaders were there on the dais. Then people on the ground objected. And since then, they were never seen. So maybe they were helping the movement from the back. Maybe they were providing all kinds of resources. That's a different thing altogether. But to say that that movement was created by the RSS, I don't buy that argument. To say that they were guiding the movement, I'm not buying that.
Then how
Because
did
my research doesn't say that.
Then how did Anna Hazare reach there?
I think then we have to understand the working of RSS. We have to understand the working of RSS. And there's nothing wrong in Anna Hazare had gone and met RSS person. I shared dais with Mohan Bhagwat in Nagpur. And I think it must be 2012, 2013 when I was the managing editor of IBN7. I was there the chief guest. And Mohan Bhagwat was the guest of honor. We shared the platform. I shared the platform again with number 2, Mr. Housebole, in Delhi itself, the Constitution Club. Sharing platform, engaging with the ideas, talking, trying to understand the ideology, there's nothing wrong in it. I think that's what the democracy is all about. They should try to understand us, I should try to understand. Unless we try to understand that why our RSS has gained so much support from the people. We have to understand that. Did we commit mistake? Who call themselves left and liberals? Did they commit mistake? Are they willing to identify their mistakes? Are they willing to identify their mistake and create a strategy for the future to counter BJP? Unless you just want to gloss over that RSS doesn't exist. No, that's not the reality. We have to understand why Mr. Donald Trump has become the president. The man who is unworthy of any office in the world, any constitutional office in the world. You just imagine every wrong he has done. Every wrong he has done. But today, he's saying that I'll buy Greenland. The Canada should be the 51st state of America. He said the Gaza should be turned into the real estate Riviera. And Gazans should be thrown out. Somebody who's talking so nonsense, but his approval rating is going up in America. So why this is happening? This is happening because the old establishment has failed to meet the aspirations of the new generation and the new society. A society is emerging, but the establishment is still in the past. So the people are looking for an alternative. The resurgence of Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi as a national phenomenon, you can say, is a reflection of the reality that people are looking for an alternative. They are fed up with the Congress. They are fed up with the traditional politics. In Aam Aadmi Party, they saw an alternative. So they voted for him. And similarly, at the national level, they were looking for an alternative and they chose Narendra Modi. You know. Yes. Suddenly the CPM disappeared. The party which has ruled for 35 years, suddenly there's hardly any taker in Bengal. In Odisha again, Naveen Patnaik. Did anybody sitting in Delhi could imagine that Naveen Patnaik can be defeated? He won. He lost. He lost in one of his own constituency. So that means something is happening at the societal level. People are looking for an alternative, and in search for alternative, sometimes they find Narendra Modi, sometimes they find RSS, sometimes they find Aam Aadmi Party, or sometimes they find somebody else, like in Kerala, in Bengal. You never know next time BJP is there in the power. So I think we try to understand that. Unfortunately or fortunately, we are not trying to understand. The biggest research world over in the US and the Europe is going on, why the liberalism is failing. But in this country, there's hardly any debate on this.
Ashutosh, I have a question for you. Firstly, fantastic job you do on various TV shows. So we love watching you on the TV every day. Question for you is, fast forward it a little bit and look at the opposition right now. It's so fragmented. Doesn't look like even in the next 10 years we'll have any meaningful opposition coming up. And unless you have a healthy opposition, there will be no checks and balances. I mean, you'll see party deciding to do whatever direction that they want to go into. Like right now, we see the whole swing towards religion, Hindutva. I mean, there's very little talk on real economic development, progress. You go to, I mean, you talked about Trump. I mean, again, the same thing. I mean, he took on the whole issue of inflation, anti-immigrants, all of that, right? So in India, coming back to India, how do you see the next 5 years or next 10 years unfold in terms of any meaningful opposition coming up?
It's going to be a lot of turbulences. Certainly. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very full of turmoil. And why I'm saying so, because I don't only talk about this about opposition in the country. If you look at the politics world over, the Angela Merkel's Germany, her party has suddenly disappeared. The Social Democrats are the number 3 party, and the number 2 party is again Alternative for Germany, but a neo-Nazi. So what has happened with the legacy of Angela Merkel? Why that party is disappearing? Similar thing happened in France. The party of the François Mitterrand and others, today Macron, came from nowhere. He was a member of, he was a cabinet minister. He formed his own party, and within a few years' time, he emerged as the president of France. Again, the Trump, nobody had visualized that the country of Jefferson and the Madison will have a man like him. So, and the similar thing again, the people used to talk about it. Mr. Narendra Modi succeeded in Gujarat, but will he succeed at the national level? And the 3/4 intelligentsia of the country were convinced that Mr. Modi will not succeed at the national level. But look at the kind of cult following he has today. So, unless opposition is in a position to reinvent itself, the old rhetorics will not work. And that's why they have not been able to find a counter to Hindutva. So unless they reinvent himself, it's not fashionable to say these days, because if anybody has a good opinion about Rahul Gandhi, people used to think that that man is an idiot, because he has no understanding of politics and society. But he's the one man who has understood that if you have to fight Hindutva, there has to be clarity. So he, up to certain extent, has been able to create an ideological, he is trying to create an ideological prism in which he is trying to mix up the social justice, secularism, and welfareism. Congress as a party had never ever in the past tried to get the votes of OBCs. It never did the politics of social justice. That the famous speech of Rajiv Gandhi in 1991, when the Mandal Commission was implemented, he said that this reservation is not good for the country. Now the son of the Rajiv Gandhi is talking about the reservation and telling to the whole world that you break the ceiling, the constitutional ceiling of 50%. You have to give more reservation to the. That means he has realized that unless you cater to the demands and aspirations of the OBCs, which commands almost 50% of the population, unless you talk about the social justice, unless you try to lure back Dalits, unless you get back the minorities, Congress will not be able to stand on its feet. So what he is trying to give is, he is trying to provide an ideological paradigm. The failing of the Congress party is that today Congress is up against an organization which nobody knows how deep is their roots, and is up against a man who's phenomenally popular, that's Narendra Modi. And one thing which we all should praise about him is that he's one man जो 24 घंटे पॉलिटिक्स करते हैं. वो एक चुनाव के बाद दूसरे के बाद तीसरे चुनाव की बात करते हैं. The era of cozy politics is gone. Unless the other political leaders are equally want to invest that kind of energy and time, it will be difficult to defeat BJP, and it will be difficult to defeat Narendra Modi. Despite BJP not getting more than 38% vote share. So what I'm trying to say is that opposition has to reinvent itself, has to find a new new ideological paradigm has to realize the strength of Hindutva. And, and in that sense, I think the biggest failing of the liberal politics in the world over has been that it has trying to ridicule religion. The time has come when you have to understand religion, you have to engage with the religion, and you have to make adjustment with the religion. You can't wish away religion. And we have to stop saying this, that anybody who's putting a tika on your head, that he's a communal. No. My parents, they are deeply religious. I'm a non-believer. I can't say that he's communal just because he's putting tika or he's doing prayers. No. That understanding has to go. So the left liberal has to engage with the with religion, have to understand, had to make adjustment with the religion, had to create an ideology where the religion, if not playing a prominent part, at least has a respectable place into that. In the last 70 years, since the Second World War, world over, there has been an attempt to ridicule religion, to discredit religion.
Thank you, Ashutosh. I compliment you on the fact that you call spade a spade. The welfareism is actually a bribe collected from our tax money and given to the voter who vote. And whereas most of the people who pay taxes, 3% of the country, they don't vote. So I think that is the situation we are all caught up in. I also compliment you on the fact that we need to realize that there are changes in the human attitudes, if I may use the word, between conservative forces and liberal forces. And over the last 120 odd years, you can see conservatism rising to the peak in Europe and then getting demolished, and then liberal left parties, socialist parties came to power, and globally you had a liberal left wave. However, you also raise a very important question, is how do we engage with the primal fear? You know, you can call Hindutva for whatever name it is, but what it is actually doing is arousing primal fear in all of us. We all have it. And we practice rituals, and now we are using those practices into the public sphere. And my ritual is stronger than your ritual, so I have to dominate you. So we are caught up in a politics of primal fear, where politics of the conservative sentiment, which goes back to primordial thinking, are aroused, and the religion is in danger. Your identity is in danger. Your culture is in danger. So what I see in absence of two things in India, unfortunately, one is lack of scientific examination of politics and ideology. Your point was that why we haven't engaged that. And second is my criticism of this conversation. Why are we so obsessed with personalities and politics? And why don't we talk principles in politics? So I think that is somewhere we also got to see that if we look at how the principles are being violated, how the values are being violated by one set of ideology, whether you call it Congress, AAP, or BJP, and proposed and supported by the other, we will never acquire a scientific understanding of where the world should be heading, where our world should be heading, where our politics should be heading. So I think there's a great deficit. The conversation was all about politics, who got how many votes. Fine. I have yet to see politics of principles being debated and values being understood. And for last 75 years, none of the governments, state governments or the central government, have taken any steps to communicate this understanding, what this constitutional message is all about. Your views on that. Thank you.
May I say something before you answer? Because you also called it a bribe. He also called it a bribe, and I can't keep quiet. So, see, when essentially you say it is a bribe or the gentleman there, a bribe is something that is given to someone for doing something wrong. But here it is not that. It is something those people deserve because they don't have the quality of life most people sitting here in this room can ever achieve. It is something to aid their lives that is given to women, whether it is their free rice, because daily wages in this country is 350 rupees. How do you live a life like that? There is no good education, there is no good like free education, free good education, free good hospitalization. We don't have that. So these are not bribes. To call them that is to demean their lives because they are poor. They need that help to get through the day.
See, poor don't need our sympathy.
It
They
is
need
not
our support.
sympathy. The governments are not supporting them anyway. So
So
this
my
comes still ahead of elections. True, that is wrong. It should come much before that. But to call it bribe, I think it's essentially wrong in term, because then that is a term that everyone will latch onto and they say you shouldn't give it to them. They need that to live a not even an average life. They are still BPL.
so do that after elections. Once you have one election, do that.
They
Why
are.
just before elections? My only argument is why. First, let's see. It's again a. I have a I have a difference of opinion on the 2 points. One, on the philosophical level. आप मुफ्त में देके आप किसी से काम नहीं करा सकते. आप कोई काम ही नहीं करेगा. And I gave the example of communist countries. Because everybody knew whether you are a space scientist or you are a labor, everybody is getting the same salary. So the basic human nature is it works on incentives. Unless I have certain incentive, unless I know that if I achieve my target, I can get this much of salary and I can get this much of promotion. If I know that even if I do the best of work, somebody who has not done anything, I'll be equally treated. I will lose my initiative and incentive.
But
So
capitalism has got us here, so that's has also failed. That is why we are in this mess too. So
let's
then,
not get into that. About your question, I think see, we have to understand that sometimes we overestimate our society. We have to realize the fact that India is still an underdeveloped society. It's a semi-feudal society. You walk on the road and you realize that how chaotic we are. We are not in that sense very disciplined society in that sense, but these are the hallmarks of an underdeveloped society. You go to any western countries, you will realize that there are certain method, there are certain rules and everybody has to follow that. Here anybody can come from left, right and center, can do anything. You cannot go to any public office unless you pay certain amount of money. Your work will not be done. So it's not that people are taking their work very seriously. People are realizing that कुछ तो काम करके कहीं से कुछ ना हो जाएगा. So we are still a very underdeveloped society, and we take a lot of pride in our ancient culture. That's good enough. Ours is a great civilization. But if you compare our civilization in terms of economic development, in terms of social development, we are far behind than the Europe and other countries. So we have to understand that. And what the BJP has successfully done it, that BJP has really worked on the primal fear. I completely agree with you on that point. But the fundamental work which was needed to be done in 1947 onwards was that India was a country which almost had nothing. Literacy rate was something around 20% or 25%. There was phenomenal poverty in the country. I agree that the great works had to be done about education, about health and other things. But the most important thing was to keep democracy alive, to have democratic institutions. I think on that count, we came out with flying colors. But other parameters of a civilized society we still have to develop. And it will be unfair if we compare ourselves with the European countries or other countries. So, lot has to be done. And on that count, if we start bribing people like this to win elections, my argument is what they are doing it, I concede a point a little bit, that they are bribing people to vote. That's all. But don't the people have to be told that unless you work, you will not get things free. You have to work. If you keep giving alms to the beggars on the chaurahe pe, they will never go back and work. It's a sad thing, but somewhere we have to draw a line. कि आपको काम करना ही पड़ेगा, तभी आप जब आप if you will force somebody that you will not get food unless you work, he will start looking for that.
The wages are so low. There's no equal playing ground for any of this. So if the government is giving some help, because
It's not help. You have to understand this. Mr. Modi has have been feeding 80 crore people. First for a few months, then for a few years. Now for the 5 years. Why we are doing it?
because they don't.
We are really creating parasites. We are really creating parasites. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the reality.
No, we do not. We do not.
With this
need.
kid in the White House.
Yes, and his mother.
Facing the lack of social capital these people have had for generations. How
Yes.
to compensate for that? Is that solution? Is it only economic?
No, it's not only about economy. So unless if we keep committing the same mistake, why we are not focusing on what he said? Why we are not focusing on the systems? Why we are not putting the right people for the right job? Why we are not prioritizing the national agenda? Why the governments are not focusing on the education? Aam Aadmi Party was, I'll give credit to the Aam Aadmi Party that in the first budget they presented in 2015, they put 20% of the budget, they allocate 20% of the budget on the education, 14% on the health.
Yeah.
Why other state governments are not doing it? Why the central government is not doing it? Why we are still stuck with the 3% of the budget on the education? It's come down.
Come down. 2.8
So,
or something.
You don't want to invest in the human capital and you want to create a great society. That never happened anywhere in the world.
But education has 75 years of literacy has not eradicated the caste system. Even in this building, just do a survey of who's the janitorial staff here. We'll get a quick understanding of who we are as a society. And that is the economic incentive at that angle of perhaps they'll come out of that because they'll get that respect that sometimes economic success can bring.
The economic success has,
2,500 is not much of an economic
she's
success.
stuck on that. She is stuck on that. She will not bust. Now I'm very confident that she comes from Kerala.
So my next question. So I'm thankful Anjali and Ashutosh sir for the very Ashlin, yes, for a very insightful discussion. So I remember Ashutosh sir from the time when I was a school kid, and वो आज तक was a program on DD2. तो आप लोग बोलते थे खबरें आज तक इंतजार कीजिए आपका पुण्य प्रसून वाजपेयी सर का. So all of you were like veterans for us in the field of journalism, and so happy and proud that you're here today. So I'll keep my questions very precise in the interest of time. One thing is like, who is the typical BJP MLA who has won this time? Like, if I try and recall names of Rajasthan MP CMs, I mean, I have trouble recalling their names. So who is the typical candidate? Like, जैसे social activism background से लोग आप में आए. So who is this typical BJP candidate for who has won in this election? And second question is, so aside from what the parties have put forth in their manifesto, sir, according to you, what are some immediate pressing challenges for Delhi and problems that need to be solved?
See, you mean to say that who is the BJP candidate who won on his own?
What is the typical profile of the candidate? Like, is he a social
I
activist?
could
a working
name only
professional?
two. The Om Prakash Sharma, who won in 2013, who won in 2015, who won in 2020, and again he won. So when the BJP was getting only 3 seats, even he was one of the winners. And
maybe
you
Parvesh.
will not be happy to meet him.
And Parvesh maybe.
And Vijendra Gupta.
And Parvesh also.
He won again in 2015. He is today the Speaker of the House. So these are the two, you can say that they won on their own. Obviously the BJP capital as a political party capital was there. What is the second question? Sorry, forgot.
Challenges.
I think the two things which needs immediate attention. One is Delhi. In Delhi, roads are getting worse on a daily basis. Roads are really getting worse. And secondly, the traffic. It is really taking toll on everybody. And this is manageable. I can tell you this is manageable. It is not, any day, if I am coming from Noida to the Gurgaon today, I took metro. Because I really dread to pass through the Kalindi Kunj. That a stretch of almost 500 meters, you take 30 minutes. And for no rhyme and reason. Absolutely no rhyme and reason. If you make me the traffic commissioner, I'll make it work. So I think the traffic and the roads and make Delhi safe for the women. Delhi, unfortunately, is a capital where the women are very, very unsafe. Very, very unsafe. Even in the Connaught Place, after the sunset, the women will find it difficult to walk alone. It's a shame on a city like Delhi, which is where the whole government is here. But you can do nothing. You can go to the Bombay. It's very safe for the women. रात को 12 बजे भी लोग निकल के और महिलाएं घूमती हैं, रात को 2 बजे भी. It's very safe. But in Delhi, buses में, metro में, go anywhere. The women are very unsafe. Feel very difficult. So
roads are a function of rampant corruption, right? It's not that there's not enough money, but you walk around in Gurgaon, there's no money that's actually being used to invest in all this public infra, which is why I was actually surprised that the whole house said no to an Elon Musk. Don't we need to really look into the massive siphoning off of public funds, which is happening at, epic scales, epic proportions? Don't we need an Elon Musk to encourage our innovators and our entrepreneurs and figure out, where these inefficiencies?
वहीं रहने, एलान मस्क को वहीं रहने दीजिए, इधर मत लेके आइए उसको.
No, he cut government jobs. He took away.
See why I'm opposed to Elon Musk. See why why I'm opposed to Elon Musk. If Elon Musk contests election, becomes the president of America, I have no problems. You become a senator, I have no problems. You become the congressman, I have no problem. But an extra constitutional authority is now dictating terms. That's a very dangerous thing. If you really want to do some social work, you should contest election. Either Republican or other Democrats have no issues with that. He claims to. But then what's harm if he becomes the president? He becomes the vice president. He becomes the senator. He becomes the congressman. Extra constitutional authority should not be encouraged anywhere in the world. If we have to run the country according to the constitution, what right he has to do something? Tomorrow, a non-constitutional person will stand up in the country, will say, I'll do this. So, whether the country will be run by the constitution or the country will be run out of the constitution? The choice is ours. We chose that this country should be run by the constitution. So, anybody who wants to correct the system, come, join politics, be part of it. Run the country according to the constitution. I will not allow anybody who is outside the constitution and suddenly thinks I am the savior and I'll change the system. No, that's a very wrong thing.
Just an observation and a question in defense of Mr. Kejriwal. So ma'am said, do you think the AAP government in Punjab will fall? And you said, Amit Shah and Mr. Modi are there, so yeah, anything can happen. So it showed that you ascribed a very low bar of morality to the Home Minister. But on the other hand, a very high one for Kejriwal, just because he pretended to be moral. So you want to judge him here, he comes here, it's a problem. But that guy's here, so you are like, okay, that's fine.
Politics is neither moral nor immoral. Politics is amoral. So I'm not judging Amit Shah what he is doing. I'm only saying is what he's capable of. And he's perfectly justified what he's doing. Because that's what the politics is all about. Mrs. Gandhi dislodged how many governments in the world? How many political parties she has broken? Unfortunately, that is the nature of the politics in this country. So if Mr. Amit Shah is doing, I have no problems with that. The only thing is why others are not following their moral path. Why the Shiv Sena is divided into two, and those who left Shiv Sena, do you think that they were following the moral path? No. So why blame only Amit Shah or Narendra Modi or the BJP? And about Arvind Kejriwal, yes, I had a very high opinion about him. But if I had continued that high opinion, I would have been in the party, not here.
Hi, thank you so much for the evening. Sir, my question is fundamentally on the relevance of democracy in the current times across the world. Uh, because you see, democracy, the definition was for the people, by the people. And if I have to do something, if I contest an election, you're the people, I have to come, communicate, and I had to have some gravity to convince you to do it in my favor. Now, the mode of communication is changed. If I know the algorithm, I can convince you. And that's where the propagandas come from. Not only for the politics, for right from the cricket to everything which is populist. So, how relevant is democracy today? I mean, is that a system that we are really like too broken for the current times and we're just trying to fix that, or does that still hold the ground across the world?
I think the whole debate is changing across the world. Whether the democracy in its present form is still relevant. Because if democracy is throwing leaders like Donald Trump, but democracy is throwing relevance like Orban in Hungary or in other places, that whether the democracy is really working, are the democracies creating dictators, are the democracies creating authoritarian leaders? So I think the nature of democracy also has to change over a period of time. The democracy which was evolved as a form of the government since Second World War, I think that is continued for too long. Now the time has come when the democracy has to fundamentally change its nature, and along with the nature, the structure and the function should also change. Otherwise, democracy will end, because leaders like Trump has no faith in democracy.
But now that brings us to the second question, more practical, like who and how does that happen? Who does that?
People. There's no other alternative, because we reached to this level. We're talking about the democracy. The Plato has talked about democracy almost more than 2,000 years back. But democracy became a state function. Democracy became a state apparatus only after Second World War, as a prominent state apparatus. So, because the people over a period of time have realized that the kind of leadership, the kind of governments we had is not working for the people, and that is why this upsurge from the below started. See, in 1215, when the king was there in England, the king was there. Why the Magna Carta came? The Magna Carta came because people knew and realized that the king is not doing for the people. The king is doing for himself. So they put certain bars. But since 1215, imagine, we still have Napoleon Bonaparte of the French Revolution in 1799. And still the kings were ruling countries across the world. So democracy, a nation state, got itself really with the people only after Second World War. I'm only saying is the kind of changes which is taking place. In entire world civilization, the changes with so much energy and so much swiftness had never happened. I had seen in my villages bullock carts where phone bhi nahi hota. There used to be hardly a phone. But now everybody is moving with this. There used to be a time when we used to write a letter to communicate with our dear ones in Europe and America. It used to take 15 days just to reach there. And then the answer coming another 15 days. It used to take 30 days to have 2 communications. Now people can drive in their Chevrolet, in their Mercedes, driving at the 150 kilometers per hour and simultaneously talking to somebody in Alaska. So the world has changed so much. Now when the time and space has shrunk so much, You still want to think that the society will not change, the mindset will not change, and accordingly the democracy should also not change. That this democracy was relevant when there was hardly any car in Delhi. But today, there's everywhere you go, there's a car. Where there used to be one telephone in an entire city or a entire mohalla. Now everybody is carrying a phone. When you used to write a letter, you used to reach 3-4 days to your dear ones. Now everybody in the whole world is just doing a video chats in the real time. But democracy is still exercising our rights the way used to exercise, our forefathers used to exercise in 1950s and 1960s. So if the society has changed so much technological revolution has happened, when the time and space has shrunk, the democracy also has to change. And it is this restlessness which is creating people like Donald Trump and empowering people like Donald Trump. It's not a permanent phenomenon. But unless people get an answer, there is a new form of democracy, there's a new form of society, this chaos, this turmoil will continue.
What do you think the new form of democracy would look like, when you're saying
See, the
this?
fundamental
Because
feature of a
essentially-
democracy is a participation of the people.
Yes.
But in what shape that participation of the people, I do not know. If I would have been God.
Maybe it's time to open that dialogue with your influence. If not a book, maybe a series or a program might be a starter like that.
I'm telling you that unfortunately in this country that debate is not still started. But if you read American literature, there's a fierce debate happening over there. Fierce debate happening. And whether the liberal order has collapsed, whether the liberal order has died, whether the democracy has died, all that debate is happening.
So, Ashutosh, Trump has surrounded himself with very, very rich people. And they are saying it's the start of oligarchy in the US as well. Do you think that democracy is now sort of being controlled by the oligarchs in various forms in different countries? Here also we get to hear that it's the Ambanis and Adanis and the rich people controlling democracy.
Partly yes.
Mostly.
Partly yes.
Yeah. It's
So you
there
see,
here too.
so there's this new sort of emerging thesis of democracy in that
See,
case.
they are not directly controlling us, but indirectly they are controlling us. They are manufacturing consent. They are creating media houses which only talk about the government. All the time they are ridiculing opposition. So that's a way of controlling they are basically trying to brainwash your mind. So not directly controlling, but indirectly they are controlling your mind and controlling democracy.
If there are no more questions, should we wind up?
Silence.
Yeah, that is the sign, I think, to end it. Saying
Thank you so much.
thank you for inviting us here.